Today, we're diving into one of those moments in history that just changes everything. We're talking about Sultan Mehmed II and his incredible, almost unbelievable conquest of Constantinople. This wasn't just a battle, it was the fulfillment of a prophecy that would reshape empires forever.
So, to really get why this conquest was so important, you have to understand it wasn't just about grabbing more land or power. Nope. For Sultan Mehmed, this was personal. It was a spiritual destiny, something that had been predicted centuries before he was even born. This was all about making a sacred promise come true.
And here it is. This is the promise. The prophecy was simple. Whoever managed to conquer the great city, what we now call Istanbul, would be rewarded with paradise. So just think about that for a second. For Mehmed and his soldiers, the stakes could not have been higher. This was a fight for territory on earth, sure, but also for a place in the hereafter. But what an incredible challenge they were up against. Constantinople wasn't just some city. It was the beating heart of the Byzantine Empire, a power that had stood strong for an absolutely staggering amount of time. This place was the center of a whole world.
1,000 years. Let that number really sink in for a moment. For a whole millennium, this city was this shining beacon of power, a fortress of Christendom. It had become the symbol of permanence, an empire that a lot of people probably thought would just last forever.
And you can bet that over that long history, people had tried to take it. So many armies had shown up at its gates, only to be completely broken and forced to turn back. The city had earned this reputation for being, well, completely impenetrable. It was a legend. A huge part of that legend came down to its defenses, and we're talking specifically about its walls. The awe they inspired is just perfectly captured in this simple description: such a wide wall. I mean, these weren't just walls, they were an incredible feat of engineering, this multi-layered defense system that had literally never been breached. And this little personal note just adds so much to it. The person describing the walls says, "I saw it myself," almost like they couldn't believe their own eyes. It just reminds us that even today, the scale of these defenses is absolutely breathtaking. It really drives home just how impossible the task facing Mehmed seemed. So you've got this unbreakable city, protected by these legendary walls and a harbor that no one could get into. The whole siege had basically ground to a halt. It seemed hopeless. And right here, this is where the story takes a turn from a normal battle into one of the most brilliant and frankly unbelievable military moves in all of history.
I mean, that's the central question of this whole thing, isn't it? If you can't smash through the walls and you can't get past the ships defending the harbor, what do? Well, Sultan Mehmed's answer was to just go around, but in a way that his enemies could never, ever have dreamed of.
Let's break down the problem here. The sea route into the city's main harbor, the Golden Horn, was blocked off by this massive, unbreakable chain. Attacking by land meant going up against those famous walls, so Mehmed decided to take a third option, the unthinkable path. His solution was just audacious. He was going to move his entire naval fleet overland. His men built this road out of greased logs, and then, under the cover of darkness, they dragged dozens of warships over a hill and right down into the enemy's harbor. In a single night, a whole new naval front was opened up inside the city's defenses, totally bypassing that chain and leaving the defenders absolutely stunned.
Now you have to try and picture this. Imagine being a defender on the walls, waking up in the morning and seeing an entire enemy fleet just suddenly floating there in your supposedly secure harbor. This wasn't just a clever tactic. For Mehmed's army, this was like watching a miracle unfold. It was a spectacle that had this incredibly deep spiritual impact.
And this quote just captures that feeling perfectly. You can feel the raw emotion. It wasn't just about winning. It was proof that their mission was righteous, that they were on the right path. To see ships moving across a hill was to see the impossible become possible, an act so powerful it made you want to just scream with the sheer force of your belief. And really, that's what we're left with. The fall of Constantinople is a story of military genius, for sure, but it's more than that. It shows the incredible power of belief. And it just makes you wonder, when you're faced with what seems like an impossible wall, just how much can one person's unshakable conviction really change the course of history?